Welcome to another episode of Wife for Life with none other than your marriage specialist, Michelle McElroy. Yay! And hey guys, I just want y'all to know we got a dynamo on today. This girl is spicy, spunky, fun, hardworking, bout it, boss babe. I'm just telling you, she is all the things, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear this interview. You guys help me welcome the Amber Staples.
Yay! Thank you.
Amber, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Michelle, for that amazing welcome, my NFWA sister. As Michelle mentioned, I'm Amber Staples. I am married to Justin Staples. He is a retired NFL linebacker. I am also the mom to Justin II. Little known fact, and probably dropping a big bomb right now, we're actually going through IVF to have another baby. Yes. So we started that process. We are looking to welcome a second baby, hopefully soon, Lord willing. I am also the CEO and creative director of Stapled Events here in Chicago. We plan corporate events, weddings, social events in Chicago and nationwide. I started this business with my husband. I call him my premium investor. That's what he is. He is my top line investor. So,
I love it.
He gave me the grace and just the funding to start my business and walk away from a very tumultuous corporate life that I had. I'm also the president of the National Football Wives Association and one of the founding board members with my NFWA sister here, Michelle. And I'm also named as Black in Events top 100 event curators in the U.S. Ooh. So lots of accolades there.
Let's go. I love it. Top 100 in the United States. That's big. That's huge.
Thank you. So, yeah.
Listen, you got all the things going on, everything. I mean, I almost feel like we should start with balance. However, we're going to come back to that.
Okay.
Because everybody loves to hear a good love story, right? Okay. So whether it be awkward, fun, funny, whatever it may be, everybody wants to know, how did you and Justin meet? How did you guys hook up?
Yeah, so Justin and I went to school together. We both graduated from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. We are fighting Illini to the core. Okay. Everything in this house is Illini. So both of us have a lot of pride in Illini. Nice. So we met at school. Mm-hmm. Coincidentally, Justin was my best friend in school and still is my best friend. He was the person I leaned on, just that guy confidant that you needed. I had an ex in college that was a habitual cheater, ran around town with them. And I just remember Justin was always the male figure that I needed, that voice of reason. Going through something like that, it really messes with your mental and your self-esteem. And Justin reinstilled my self-esteem in me. So when we say best friend, and we kind of use that term loosely, Justin was my best friend because I could lean on him for anything. Me and him laugh all the time about just some of the friendship experiences that we had. I used to work at our newspaper, the Daily Illini, and I remember I was so broke, like literally dead broke, college broke.
Right.
And hungry and I couldn't leave work. And literally, I just remember texting Justin, like, where are you? Luckily, he was in front of Chipotle. I said, please get me a burrito bowl. And this man went to Chipotle, got me a burrito bowl, brought it to me. When he got it to me, I said, I can't pay you back because I'm poor. And he was totally fine. So he really was like that male best friend, that figure that I could lean on, the person that I knew that I could just depend on when I didn't really have many of those, especially in a male figure. So we met in college. We began to develop a very flirtatious relationship towards the end of school. He actually stayed an additional year because he redshirted his freshman year. So he had another year for football. And I graduated. I was back in Chicago. During that time, we just maintained our relationship and it just grew to become something more. You know, I came down to U of I, visited him during homecoming. I would come down to different games and just visit him. And in my mind, we were still friends. We were definitely like still holding the friendship, but we both knew that like there was a little thing, there was something for one another.
A little spark.
A little spark, you know, like we felt it, but neither of us, I think it was more so we didn't want to ruin the friendship.
Yeah.
Our friendship was so important to us that even though we felt it, we let it just be kind of a flirty thing. I like you, you like me. It what's understood doesn't have to be said, kind of thing. Like we understand, we see each other. So then when he went to the league, the guys they all did a trip to Vegas. Him and his friends, like two of his best friends, went to the league at the same time. So they did this big trip to Vegas. I was living in LA at the time. He invited me to Vegas. I packed my little Camry up, went down to Vegas or up to Vegas, wherever that was. And literally the rest is history. Like in Vegas, we kind of admitted to each other that, hey, we actually like each other and we should probably explore this. We had a crazy Vegas night. It was so fun. And literally ever since then, we have been inseparable. And oddly enough, we actually made it official on Valentine's Day. So like I think it was 2 months after I came down to Cleveland because he was with the Browns. And literally it was Valentine's Day weekend. We said we're exclusive, we're together, it's us, and we have literally been inseparable ever since.
That is so awesome. All I can hear is a crazy night in Vegas. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go with what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas.
You know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
We just gonna go on with that. But
it was a really good night. Here's what's funny though, Michelle. So the first night there was women at the table, and I'm not gonna lie, some of them wanted Justin, but me being in my friend zone space, like, okay, we're just friends. I'm not gonna get too territorial. I'm gonna be the cool friend. I just let it be. I was like, okay, they want Justin, but I know I'm fine, so I just let it be. But I saw that eye looking over all the time, and then you know, it was like we literally left together. We went to Jack in the Box. This man ordered 20 tacos. I kid you not. He ordered 20 tacos from Jack in the Box. And I was like, are you hungry? And then we got back. He ate 2 tacos and then we just had a great night. So the rest was history from there.
He ordered 20 and ate 2.
He ate 2 tacos. There were Jack in the Box tacos all over the bedroom the next day. It was crazy. And he was like, where did these tacos come from? I was like, yeah, ordered 20.
You. Hilarious. I love it. That sounds fun. And you know, at one point I was thinking, I wonder if he was here, would he say, you know, I knew she was for me all along, but I just, you know, played the friend card until I couldn't no more. Like what would he say? Do you know?
For sure he would, because we had a very flirty relationship. And one thing about me and my Sagittarius soul, I don't really hide my emotions too well. Like I wear everything on my sleeves. My cards are always laid out. So literally, like, he knew I liked him. We absolutely knew that. There were a couple little kissing moments every now and then too. But again, I think both of us felt so strongly about our friendship that we just let it be. And we just and I think this is the beauty of our relationship. We let it naturally flow into what it is. You know, we didn't force it. We didn't try to make it something when it wasn't time. We just kind of naturally flowed into this relationship. And even like before Vegas, him and I were FaceTiming all the time. When I first moved to LA, I was living with my stepdad's mom because I was broke. I didn't have a job yet. I packed my car up and literally said, I'm going to move to LA and it's going to work out. And it did. I ended up actually moving from that house into a house in Beverly Hills. So it literally, you know, he was always my rock during that time. Like I would call him and complain because my stepdad's grandmom was Japanese, and she was very traditional, didn't even speak English. So it was just a lot. And I just remember I would call him and just be like, here she go again. Or I would just, call about LA and, oh my God, we had a crazy night last night. Like, and he was just my rock during that. So we never forced anything, we never tried to make it happen. We just let things naturally kind of fall into the places they were supposed to fall into.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And what I love about it is I think there's something to be said in regards to relationships, the importance of developing a friendship first.
Absolutely.
I feel like Ray and I kind of inadvertently did that, although I know he was interested from the beginning, but like you said, we didn't rush it. We became friends first. We actually, when we started talking, it was more about what each other was going through with who we were with at the
Yeah.
time. And so I think it just naturally gravitated from that friendship into a relationship. And so I hope, in some way that as women, we all learn that, you don't have to rush love. You
Yeah.
don't have to do that. You can wait, you can be patient, take your time. I know there are some women who may say, yeah, that's easy to say when you're young, but when you get older, but this is the thing, and I think every woman that's married could attest to is, it's worse if you rush it and now you're married to the wrong person.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And let me say to that point,
mhm,
so my ex, a part of the reason why I picked up and went to LA is because I was also dealing with a very tumultuous breakup. My ex, I found out through blogs that he had a baby on the way. And it was so hard. One thing about me, I don't do with the drama. I don't do with like craziness. I can't survive in chaos. I need peace. So I just picked up and I just left. I was like, you know what? I need a fresh start. I need a new look. I just want to start over. And I had to make sure I was ready to receive Justin, because I always knew, just from being able to develop that friendship, I knew what kind of man Justin was. I always knew that. I knew I wouldn't have to deal with infidelity. I knew I wouldn't have to deal with the man that I got to feel like I have to check your phone all the time. I knew what kind of man he was because we had developed that friendship.
mm,
And I was in LA, living my best life. It was my first year in LA. We're having a good time, a very good time. And I wanted to make sure before we made it serious, like even when we were FaceTiming each other, again, it was very casual, very much so sticking to the friend, but we know we like each other.
mhm.
I had to make sure Amber Allen at the time, was ready to receive the man that I knew Justin would be. Because I knew that was going to be my husband. I knew that. I always knew Justin would be my husband. I always said that.
Yeah,
But I needed to make sure that I was healed and that I
yeah,
was the person I need to be to receive who I knew Justin was.
yeah.
So
That's big.
going back to the friendship, I wouldn't have known that if we hadn't developed that friendship. I wouldn't have known that I needed to like receive who he is.
Yeah. And ironically, that's big time. First of all, what you're saying, that is huge, making sure that we are prepared
Yeah.
for the type of man that we create this long list of what we want in a man. But are we preparing ourselves to be the type of woman we want to and need to be when we're in that relationship? That's huge. Great point there. And I also think, when you're in the midst of that, you kind of know already. Like some people, like I've had many women ask Ray, how did he know I was the one? But
Yeah.
I think for us, we know.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah.
We know really quickly. Like it was really early in our relationship. Ray and I dated for about 4 years, all through college.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say maybe within 6 months, I knew, oh, this guy is husband material. And I put my stake down, I marked my territory. It's me right here. So,
I love
and,
it.
and like you said, when you know, and when that person knows, you already know their character. There
Yeah.
is no qualification. And this is the big thing, too. We knew when they didn't have a dime to their name.
Yep.
We knew before all the expectations that the modern woman wants in a guy. We knew when they didn't even have money that we were going to be all right with them, not because we knew they were going to the league, because nobody knows for as a matter of a fact, or I should say very few know matter of a fact they're going, but we knew that no matter what, they were going to be good providers.
Exactly.
Would,
Absolutely.
would you say you saw that in him early on?
Oh yeah. And provider isn't a financial word. I think that's where a lot of women get misconstrued.
Not only
Provider,
financial, right?
exactly. It's not only financial.
Got
So provider, I knew Justin was going to give me safety. I knew
yeah,
he was going to give me security. I
yeah.
knew Justin would give me peace of mind. The things that you can't, any man could go out and get money, right?
Mm-hmm,
Anyone can go and make money. If you have
mm-hmm.
an education, you a hustler, you can go get money. But are you going to provide me a peace of mind? Do I have to think about who's in your phone, or where are you going to the grocery store? Are you really going to the grocery store? Are you going to give me that safety, that security to know that I'm okay and I feel safe enough to just be myself with you?
Yeah.
And I think that's where I knew Justin was the one. I'm crazy, and Justin will tell you that. Like, he'll be like, "My wife is insane," in a good way, though, right? All the good crazies. And I feel like I can be crazy with Justin, and I know I have a safe space to be crazy with that man.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
that you have to look at the intangibles, I would say.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And when I hear you say that, what I'm hearing you say is stability.
Yeah,
Like being a provider is about creating holistic stability, right?
exactly.
So of course, every woman loves security. So right, financial security, and that doesn't make you a gold digger or anything like that because you want financial security. That's innate. That's a part of who we are. We
Yeah,
like security. God created men to provide that stability, not just financial, but the stability holistically. I had to say again, emotional and mental stability. That comes from not having to question his whereabouts or his intents. That
yeah,
that that comes with being mentally and emotionally available to us.
exactly.
When you cut us off or criticize us for needing that from you, that says to me that you're not ready to be a provider and you're not stable.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
even physically, and this one is going to take a little twist. We even need physical stability or provision from our husbands. And for us, that looks like intimacy.
Yeah.
And that intimacy is both outside and inside the bedroom.
Exactly.
The
Absolutely.
that provision looks like hugging us, touching us, caressing us, comforting us, feeling, wrapping your arms around. That's the visual that I have, is
Yeah.
wrapping your arms around us when we're sad or tired or frustrated. But also physical, because as I said in my last event that you coordinated for me.
Taking events.
Paper event. Let's do the shameless plug. But as I said in that event on the panel, we are not adverse to sex, but we need provision and stability in that area too. We need
Absolutely.
to be pleased in that area too, first and foremost. And we need the stability of knowing that we're your only partner,
Yep.
that you're
Absolutely.
not seeking to be in a sexual relationship with anybody else. So yeah, I am in 1,000% agreement with you. Being a provider is a holistic thing. It is not isolated to finances, because what happens if he loses his job? So now you just gonna leave him? Like,
Exactly.
come on now, you're a team. That's not good, successful, healthy teamwork.
Exactly. Absolutely.
girl, we just went all around the block. Right? That's all I'm gonna say about
That's what happens when you have open conversations with real people.
that part. Because real sees real.
Hmm.
So I want to go back to the beginning. You wear a lot of hats. You
Hmm.
wear a lot of hats. And now on top of that, you're already a mom, but going through, I have never gone through IVF, but I know people who have. And I also have witnessed plenty stories about it. So I know it's not the easiest thing to go through. And I've even had a client tell me it can be painful at times
Yeah.
as well, and the mental and emotional. In fact, she's is one of my previous podcast guests. And she, already admits on there that she's a client of mine. So I'm not telling her business, y'all.
Okay.
But she also shares how difficult her story has been regarding IVF. And so I'm just thinking, man, just remembering what she said and understanding the gravity of being an entrepreneur and all the toll that takes on you, let alone being a wife and a mother. I mean, man, and now a president of an organization as well. Like, how do you define balance?
So I said this in a previous NFWA event that we had, and I stand firm on this. Balance is fictional. It does not exist. There is no way we can balance being a mom, going through IVF, being Justin's wife, being the CEO of Stapled Events, managing my team of 8 people, being the president, helping out on this board, helping out on that board. Like there's only one person here, and there's only 24 hours in a day, and I have to sleep. I have to eat at some point. So balance for me, it's not real. It's not the reality. What I do is I pour into the things that I need to pour into first, and I have the capacity to pour into as well. So today, I may not have the capacity for NFWA, but that's why you build your teams. That's why you build a support system
Yeah.
around all of these different entities to make sure that when you don't have the capacity, it'll still be taken care of. So with NFWA, we have our board. If I don't have the capacity to deal with that today, I know Alexis, our vice president, who's also on this podcast, she will go ahead. She'll take care of everything. She'll step up. If I don't have the capacity to be a mom today, I have an amazing husband, a dad, a partner who's going to step up because he could see that I have a 300-person wedding this weekend and I need to focus on work right now.
Yeah.
If I don't have the capacity for stapled events because I need to be a mom and NFWA needs me right now, I have built my team in Casey and all of my team who's going to step up and make sure that tasks aren't missed, emails aren't missed, the phone is being answered.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's not necessarily trying to balance it as much as it is leaning in the support system that I've built and created around me through these different entities and understanding that it's okay to not have it all together. It's okay to not be able to show up to everything, to not be able to do everything, to miss a task. It's okay. Life will go on. It will be okay. Your business will be okay. NFWA will be okay. Your household will be okay. Your husband will be okay. Your kid will be okay. Like, I had to learn that it's okay not to balance.
Yeah.
So not trying to figure out how to balance, but knowing that I can't balance, facing that I can't balance, that's just not my forte. And, I just got to lean in the support systems that I have. And if any woman has the key to, I know how to balance and this is how I do it, literally they figured out the key to life because as women, how can we balance? How can we balance, really?
Yeah, I love your answer. Thank you for that. That's a great perspective. And I do think people think of balance as equal amount of time all at the same time. And yeah, you're right. That is impossible. And it just your answer or your response is reminding me of a book that I read by Shonda Rhimes, where she was talking about all the things that she had going on, especially when she was with ABC and doing all these, shows at the same time, Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, all these top shows that are going on. and she's still having to be a mom. Like, knowing, and this is why I love my this is why I chose my company name, AIM, Activating Intentional Marriages, because you have these, let's say, 5 areas of life that are going to need your attention at any point in time, any given moment of time. And sometimes maybe even they desire it all at the same time, but you can't and do that, but you would if you could, don't you know? We would be octopus mom. Just know we would do it all if we could. But
Absolutely.
understanding that with great intentionality, you can still fulfill the needs of every area, of every cap that you wear. You can still successfully do those things, not perfectly. Because
Yeah.
if perfection is what you're striving for, then you're going to be upset, disappointed, hurt, frustrated, overwhelmed all the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've learned, because I can be kind of a perfectionist, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
I expect that in myself. I'm not saying that the people around me expect that, but I do kind of equate it to Leoism, although I don't study the signs or anything like that.
Mhm.
But my husband too is a Leo, and I feel like
Yeah.
we both struggle with the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
so and I had to realize that if I'm intentional about, let's say, being a wife, then that means I am going to be intentional about setting time in my schedule to be with him, to give him my full undivided attention in a way that he would like me to, not in the way that I want to give it to him, but in the way that he wants it from me. And
Yeah.
then, even if that's just one day a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month, as long as that works for our relationship, that works.
Yeah.
And it's
Absolutely.
very intentional, and he could feel seen, heard, loved, respected, all the things. But we just
Absolutely.
have to be intentional about our efforts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah. So when I think about even balance and or non-balance, life is still gonna life, and things happen. Unfortunately, things that are unpredictable, some of them we may predict, especially as women. Sometimes God gives us that foresight to
Yeah.
see things coming that our husbands may not see, and that could be a source of frustration for us as well. But my question for you is this: what would you say has been probably the most difficult challenge you have had in your marriage being a wife?
Whoo, child. Okay, so I talk about this openly, and my husband knows that, so I want to preface that by saying this. But
You got
you know,
permission.
yes, that's important, right? Like we have to check in with each other, and we have to make sure that when, as my platform grows and his platform, and we're speaking on our marriages, that we're speaking on things that we're both comfortable with.
Yeah.
So that said, when he transitioned out of the league, there was a very big mental health struggle that my husband went through,
Mhm.
and I wasn't prepared for that. I'm thinking, great, you want to retire? Cool, let's move on to the next thing. Not even understanding, because I'm not a professional athlete,
Mhm.
that there really is no next thing for these guys. It's football or nothing. For so long they were handed a football when they were young, before they could even probably walk or talk,
Mhm.
and that has been their goal. And then you make it to the top level 1% of people,
Mhm.
and then it's done at such a young age, right? Our guys are retiring at 30 to 40 years old, and then there's the rest of your life, where most people are retiring at what, 60.
Yeah.
So from there, it's this identity crisis, is what I call it. It's like this identity warfare of, who
Mhm.
am I now? What am I? Who am I outside of football?
Yeah.
And that was it not even is, was, it continues to be something that both of us try to manage with him, we struggle with. There's this aspect of me as a wife wanting to help him manage his mental health, knowing that some things are just above me, some things I just got to pray about, because some things I can't fix. And as much as Amber is a fixer. I'm somebody that's going to figure it out. I'm somebody that when we can't get it done, Amber is going to get it done.
Yeah.
And it almost makes me feel like a little debilitated when I can't fix it, when I don't have the answer. I don't know what's going to make him feel whole. I don't know what's going to give him the passion and the drive that he needs. Because he ventured into other areas. We're in the cannabis, the medical cannabis industry. We ventured into other areas, but this isn't a financial struggle. It's a identity struggle.
Yes.
And as a grown man, I don't know as his wife how to help him figure it out, how to help him find his identity, find his new walk of life, his new identity outside of football. Yeah. So even to this day, that's still something that, we struggle with, and we try to figure out with each other, because I also have my own mental health that I have. I have anxiety. I was diagnosed with depression early on in life, and I was on medication at one point for it. And I sometimes see it when I feel overwhelmed or when there's too much on me. I see it kind of creeping in ways of where I shut down and I kind of retreat. Like that's me. When I know I'm at my capacity in terms of mental health, I retreat. And that's not good in a marriage, right? That's not good to go into this shell hole. And Justin does it too. So I think one of the big things that we definitely are consistently to this day working on is always showing up in our marriage for each other, but then balancing that, going back to that balance word, with showing up for ourselves.
Yeah.
And me trying to make sure that I'm being the best wife, trying to show up, be what he needs, what I know he needs now, but then also showing up for myself and being what I need for myself. Yeah. And that's hard when you're dealing with mental health struggles that you don't understand or that you can't really help, or I don't have the tools. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I wasn't equipped to be able to help him walk through this. All I can do is support and just do what I can as a wife. Yeah. So, and I try to do that as the best that I can, but sometimes I do beat myself up a little bit because I wish I could do more. I see him and I wish that there was something or door that I could just open and be like, here, babe, walk through that door. And that's just not the reality of it, So I definitely say, like, in terms of like our biggest, what we are dealing with in our marriage and just always just trying to overcome, it's definitely that mental health aspect of making sure that I am helping my husband, but also making sure that I'm still helping myself, because it can be a bit much sometimes.
Yeah. No, I think to make this a conversation, a friendly conversation for all, I think when it comes to football or athletics, professional athletics, guys get cut from the team. Well, that's the equivalent to being fired from your job. It's nothing you can do to get picked up. And Ray has even had people say, well, why didn't you just go to another team? Well, that's not how that works. It's just in a normal career space, somebody has to give you the job. You can't just walk up, knock on the door and say, hey, Jacksonville Jaguars, I want to work for you. Let me in. First of all, you probably won't even get past the security gate.
Exactly. And then in a normal industry, there's thousands of jobs that are available. We're talking in comparison from thousands to maybe a few dozens, in that one position.
Yeah.
So there, it's not just pick up and go. And Justin walked away on his own. He actually had a contract on the table. And he decided he didn't want to deal with the mental warfare of football anymore. Every year, we were with the Titans for 5 years, and every single year he got cut and then brought back. Every single year. They just couldn't, there was no loyalty to say, Justin's our guy. he's going to make it. I think one year he made it on the 53, and it was like big. We celebrated it. And then literally the next day, you know how they do that like little second round of cuts after the cuts, he got cut. And then they brought him back the next day. It's like, can you imagine as a human being, you are every single year getting fired from your job, but then they call you and be like, okay, come on back. Like every single year that's happening, what that does to someone's mental, what that does to your stability. When you know, I have a wife, I want to grow a family, I have this, I have that. Like you have all these things on your plate, and every single year you're anxious about, am I going to get cut this year? And then you get cut. You don't know what you're doing when you're talking to your agent, but then he goes, oh, they want you back. Like that's like a very toxic relationship.
Yeah.
To go from, okay, you're cut to I want you back every single year like that. If you're in a relationship with someone like that, where like your girlfriend, your mom is gonna be like, get out. They can keep breaking up with you and taking you back every year. So you know, he had a contract on the table, and I just remember we were in Vegas. He was training in Vegas, and because we have another home in Vegas, so we were there, and literally we went on this walk. It was hot outside. I was like, why are we going on this walk? And he just was like, I'm done with football. He straight up just told me like, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. He said, it's not worth it. It's not worth what it's doing to my body. He started having knee issues. He said, it's just not worth it to him.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was just like, there was a million thoughts, and I had to be like, okay, because what can you do? I can't force you to play football. I'm not going to tell you what to do with something that's mentally and physically draining you. Yeah. So we had to be okay. And you know, it's not a normal situation by any means.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, honestly, I will tell you, I could cry right now because that is so hard. And to be a witness to that as a wife, ooh, I mean, every time their heart breaks, your heart breaks, and then you want to go beat somebody up. Like literally, you want to fight. You are like, stop hurting my baby like this. Like, what are you doing? And then I just think about, you know, even once it's over, even though, you know, he decided, but he kind of didn't, because the way he was treated, he just mentally like, I can't take this anymore. Because I know, and you know, that if he would have been able to serve out his first contract, even if he did have knee injuries, he would have been up for a team bringing him in for another contract. Period. Exactly. He would have dealt with the physical pain because they've dealt with that all their life, you know. Exactly. But that mental, oh my goodness. Absolutely. And I want to thank you for sharing that, because it kind of opened my eyes in this moment as I'm listening to you. I'm remembering when Ray's time was up. He was blessed to, you know, play for 6 years, but when it was up, it was devastating. And I just had an expiration date. Like, okay, you could be devastated for this long, but now, this is too much. It's time to get up, you know. And I've talked to some other wives, and we all have that sentiment, because it becomes detrimental to the family unit, especially if your dollars aren't long enough for you to retire from working, period, after football, you know. And so with that, you know, it just quickened my spirit to realize that as I talk to women all the time who are creating these lists of the type of men that they want, I'm encouraging them to create a list of the type of wife they want to be, because I knew I wanted to be supportive, but is it fair to have an expiration date to your support?
Exactly. Yeah.
And we have to take that into consideration, because you never know, especially if you are interested in marrying a high capacity leader, which nowadays, you know, that's the talk on the town. Women who want to be in a relationship with men who make a lot of money. Well, there's a lot that comes along with that. And so if they get fired or lose their business or something like that, how do you want to show up for them in those moments? Because that's a very real thing that could happen to anyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for sharing that challenging time. And I hope that some other wives hear that and get some nuggets on how they could be supportive during a difficult time in their marriage, no matter what it may be. But if it's job related, especially, like, men really take a lot of their value from being able to be a provider in many ways. And so if they are not able to do that, or feel like they're unable to do that, I hope that we have empathy and compassion enough to not only support them, but to encourage them through that, because we always see a greatness in them that they don't just see quite yet. And if we hang
Exactly.
in there, we could
And
spoon
and
feed that.
also, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
So I would also add to that, and also still make them feel like they're still the provider. I think for me and Justin, I I struggle with bluntness sometimes. I'm a straight shooter. And once it started weighing on me, I'm like you. I was like, well, what's next? What are we doing here? Because you this can't happen anymore. And I think from in that moment, and Justin's open with me about this too, I took away his feeling like he was still the provider, his feeling, and that's not fair, because for many years I didn't have a job. For
Yeah.
many years he provided for us, and I wouldn't have even stapled events if it weren't for my husband. He gave me the funds to start this, to launch it, to start the business, to do everything I needed to do to launch it properly.
Mhm.
And I owe that to him. And for me to take away his feeling of that, for me to take away almost his power in those moments, it just was unfair.
Yeah.
So beyond just even like, supporting them, but always let your man know that he is still your man.
Mm.
Make sure that the way he needs to feel in your marriage, you're still you're still helping him to feel that way, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that's really important for men, and especially with Black men. We're not focusing on their mental enough, right? Like society, Black men are under constant attack in society. They don't need to be under attack in their home. And it
Yeah.
is up to us as their wives to make sure that they feel seen, that they feel heard, that they feel respected, that
Mm.
they know that they are the king, the man in the home. And I struggle with that. I'm not even gonna lie. Like because I'm a straight shooter, I'm
Yeah.
like, listen, and don't,
Yeah.
So I do struggle with that. And it's, again, going back to perfection. We're not perfect, but
Yeah.
I have to check myself sometimes. I sometimes have to check myself and let myself know, you tripping. Like, girl, why
Say
you
that.
talk to that man like that? That is your husband. Are you out of your mind? So I but we have to make sure we do that. Like, we have to, as wives, just
Mm.
like we want the loves and the feelings and the support, make me feel like your queen, we have
Mhm.
to do that in return. Because
Yeah.
even though they may not talk about it, they may not ask for it, like they're not as overt as women, they still need that.
Yeah. That's fire. You get snaps for that one. That's fire. Fire. And that's literally the question I was about to ask you too. What advice would you give? And I don't think it gets much better than that, to continue to recognize, even in his especially in his moments of weakness, to recognize that he is still your man. He is still the head of your household. He's still your king, and he still should feel like he's your everything. Um,
Absolutely.
because I'm loving how there are more men in the psychological field now, because they're starting to bring up ways that we're failing them, in the sense of not allowing them to be vulnerable.
Yeah. Amen. Not allowing them to be vulnerable, giving them a safe space to feel like it's okay to cry. It's okay to not be okay.
Yes. It's okay to not, even leaders have weak moments, right? Businesses, corporations, Fortune 100 company, everybody has a weak moment, and we have to recognize that we're supposed to be their support system. We could be that trampoline that helps bounce them back, but give them some time to actually feel and
Yeah.
be vulnerable and transparent with those feelings. And then that intimacy that we're looking for is being cultivated in those moments, because they're going to want to give that to us as well. They're going to
Yeah.
want to reciprocate that. They're going to be like, when I was down, this is what she did for me. And even if they get it wrong, just a gentle reminder to say, babe, remember when you were down and how I treated you? I would love it if you would give me that same thing, that same level of grace and empathy and understanding. That'll quicken their spirit, because trust me, they're not going to forget
They not.
when they were vulnerable and down, and how you supported them. I hear so many men. That's one of the things I like about Charlemagne. He gives his wife kudos all the time. And it's not that she came in and helped him run his business. That's not what it's about. It's the stability that you give at home that gives your husband permission to be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And permission to lead, permission to be the thing that you have on your checklist. Like,
Yeah.
you got this checklist. You want a leader, you want a provider, you want all of these things.
Yeah.
Are you creating a space to where a man can show up and be that, to
Yeah.
where they feel safe enough to become and be all those things you want them to be?
Yeah. Yes. True. Okay. So I want to know. So, we get to share all these things, these challenges and things we go through. And one of the things that I wanted to be intentional about is making sure that through this program, this podcast, that we're not looked at or viewed as bashing men or husbands, because
Okay.
that's not what it's about. It's more about us than it is about them. It's more about us becoming and embodying, being the best wife that we can be. And
Yeah.
part of that is being intentional, as we talked about that balance, non-balance thing, being intentional about loving our spouse the way they need or desire to be loved. So when you think about Justin, I'm sure you guys are different. You talked about being a direct communicator. I'm a direct communicator. Ray is an indirect communicator. So
Mhm.
there's some issue right there that we have to work around. So when you think about being the best wife you can be for Justin with great intentionality, how are you doing that? Just tell us one way that you are intentionally loving Justin the way he desires to be loved.
So the biggest thing for me is I have to listen. And
Mm,
when you're a direct communicator, when you're an alpha female, listening it's something you have to learn. It's something you have to work on a daily basis, and you have to be intentional about doing it. Our men, my husband, your husband, all of our husbands are telling us what they need from us.
yeah,
In Even in their indirectness, because Justin's very indirect too. He's not somebody that's going to sit down and be like, let's have a talk about how you made me feel. That's just not who he is.
yeah,
But on a constant basis, he is letting me know what he needs from me. He is letting me know how I make him feel in moments where I don't make him feel great. He is letting me know that. And I have to be intentional about listening to him.
mm,
And because there was a lot of growing we had to do. Me and Justin got married very young. So we're going on 10 years of marriage. I'll be 36. So
woo,
there's a lot of growing up that we did together, which is kind of a beauty in itself. But
yeah,
I had to learn how to literally listen to the things that he's probably not saying, the things that isn't coming out, but in the little ways he's telling me. He's telling me that, hey, when the dishes aren't done, that's actually very annoying. Like, I know you want to work and be boss mom and super mom and boss president all the time, but please, can we just do the dishes, right? And when you do those things, that avoids big arguments later,
mm,
because you're listening and you're paying attention to the things that matter to him. So
yeah.
for me, and again, I'm a work in progress. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm a listener. Woo, woo, woo. No.
That a
Just
lot.
yesterday I had to work on listening.
Yeah.
Just yesterday. So, but me, I'm intentional about that. So yeah, yesterday I had to work on listening. this morning we got up and I talked to him and I said, I apologize that I didn't listen to you because you know what? You have told me that bothers you and I didn't listen and I didn't practice what I listened. So I'm doing things that are continuing to bother you because I'm not listening, because I'm not taking heed.
Yeah.
So, you know, for Justin, I have to, it's the little things for Justin, right? Like if we get in arguments, which marriage, you're going to argue when you're in a relationship. It's inevitable. You can't have two humans together for the rest of their life and they just get along the whole time. That's weird. So, you know, you're going to argue. And when we have it, I think about the root of the arguments, and it always stems from something so small that probably could have been avoided. It was so avoidable and so small. But because we're not communicating and listening, it stemmed into something much bigger than it actually had to be. So for me, I know for Justin and for our marriage, I work every day on just listening to him, communicating with him, listening to the nonverbals, paying attention to him, because that matters to him. You know, he just went on his dad's 15-year death anniversary. His dad, may he rest in peace, Lenson Staples. You know, he passed away when we were in college. And I remember that because Justin was out of class for some time. And I remember checking in with him and he told me my dad passed away. And this is when we were just friends. So we went on 15 years and I know how much that means to him. So I just created a little slideshow video for him for that morning so that he knows, like, I pay attention, that I'm like, I see this is your dad's 15-year coming up. Like, this is the day. You know, little things like that go a very long way to make him feel and know that he's seen, he's heard, and he's understood. Like for Justin, he doesn't care about, like for me, you buy me a Chanel bag, I'm probably going to be okay. But
oh my goodness.
You know, with that trip to Europe, and it'll fix everything. Justin is very much so about the intangibles. He's about the little things. He's about, you know, showing me that you're paying attention, you know, showing me that you're listening to me and that I feel seen and I feel heard in this marriage, and doing those little intangibles that just kind of show me that he doesn't care about gifts. He don't care about nothing. Like Justin is the most, he's so simple, and he's humbled me in a way. And you know, but I know for him, this is how I have to show up for him. I have to be intentional about making sure he knows he's seen, he's heard, I respect him, I hear him, I love him, and that I am going to show up as a wife he needs me to be. Going back to what you were saying initially.
Yeah, I love that. Listening is huge. It's so important. And I love this quote that I saw on social media. Listen to understand, not to defend, is what I'm hearing you say. And that's so important. Listening to understand what his needs, what his desires are, what his wants are, and not to defend your position on not giving him those things. So that's great. And I also loved the processing. And once you processed what just transpired, you come back and you apologize and you take accountability and you commit to making change. Those are so valuable, because otherwise they're just jabs that build up. It's like a snowball effect. And then you wondering, why is he or she blowing up on me? Well, that's because you're not apologizing. You're not taking accountability, and you're not making steps toward change. Exactly. So great job processing. I love that. Something that I feel like we'll all work on and have to work on for the rest of our lives. So
the rest of our lives, and give yourself grace, right? Like you're going to fumble a little, you're going to mess up a little, but come back to it. Understand that it's okay. We have to humble ourselves as women sometimes to know that it's okay to say sorry. It's okay to admit that we messed up. It's okay. And when you create a space where you can take accountability, it will create that space with your partner. Because even though they're the leaders and they're the providers, they're the king, we set the tone in our household. So when we create a space of peace, a space where taking accountability, apologizing, admitting that we're wrong, when we create that kind of space, and normalize that in our households, it becomes normal everywhere. And then you'll see that. I feel like I see now Justin, when I do that, he'll come back and he'll be like, you know what, but I also could have did this a little differently, and I'm sorry for that too. So we kind of have to set the tone in a way.
Yeah, I love that what you said. Let's normalize apologizing.
Yes.
Let's normalize that. Okay, last question, and then we are done. So when it comes to the name of the podcast, Wife for Life, that could mean a lot of things to different people. I'm curious, what does that term mean to you? What does it look like, act like? What does Wife for Life mean to you?
So I'm gonna go back to our vows, right? We stood in a church in front of God and vowed that through sickness, through health, through ups and downs, we are going to stay together. We are going to remain together. In my family, we just don't believe in divorce. That's just not my grandparents. They probably couldn't stand each other. May my grandmother rest in peace. But they were together though for 70 years.
Wow.
And for me, a wife for life means we're going to stick it through no matter what. I don't care. There is nothing in this world unless you bring a baby home. There is nothing. And even then, I don't know what kind of woman I am yet. Cause you don't know what you'll deal with until you deal with it. But there's just truly nothing that we could go through that would ever make me feel like this doesn't need to be my husband anymore. When I signed up and I took my vows and I stood in front of all my family and friends in this church in front of God, and I said, I take you to be my husband. That to me was for life. So no matter what trials we go through, what ups we go through, no matter what we go through, we signed up for this. We signed up to be with each other forever through everything. And me and Justin, one thing we gonna do, we may fight each other, but we're gonna fight for our marriage. And I say this to some of my single girlfriends all the time. I'm like, it's every single day you wake up and you choose to be with that person, because you don't have to be with them. You have to have your mom, like your sisters, you have to be around. You don't have to be with your spouse. Every single day, Justin and I wake up and we choose to be with each other, and we fight for our marriage through every single thing we go through, no matter what was said, what was done, no matter how we're making each other feel. We are going to put our marriage at the center, and we're going to fight for our marriage. And eventually, sometimes it could take an hour, sometimes it may take a few days. Eventually, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to see it through, because this is what we signed up for. We didn't say going to be married. Oops. Oh,
It's
hello. Okay, I'm back. We didn't. We didn't say we were going to get married temporarily, or the thing, whatever happens, is going to break us up or make us feel like we can't be together, or go and use the D word everywhere. Like, that's not what we signed up for. So Wife for Life is going through the ups and downs, going through all the trials that life throws at you, because there will be a lot. And the more years you are together, the more trials you're going to go through. But understanding that at the core of it all is your marriage, and fighting for that marriage, fighting for the person that you chose to marry. Marriage is used a little too loosely, in my opinion, these days. Like we just saw, what's his name, the football player who got a divorce after 17 months. Like that's insane to me. Why get married if divorce is even on the table? Why get married? Divorce is not on the table for us. We didn't sign a prenup. There's certain things that we just didn't do, because for us, divorce is not an option. We knew what we were getting into. We knew that would come with learning with each other, growing with each other. We got married super young, so we had to grow up with each other too. Not just growing, but grow up. We had to be adults with each other. We had to learn things with each other and go through life with each other. And that comes with a lot of trials. Through that, it's just making our marriage stronger and stronger, because then we're going to look back We're going to see all the things that we went through and know that we prevailed through all of that. So
Yes.
that's a wife for life. Wife for life. Fight for your marriage.
Is a wife for life. Committed, loyal, in for the win. Like I absolutely agree and love everything that you said because you know, you never know what you're gonna go through in your relationship, but your disposition should be one of till death do us part. It should be
Exactly.
one of creating longevity and overcoming the obstacles and building a team that lasts forever. So,
Exactly. And especially in our community, right? I know we're over the hour, but I need to say this.
say
So
it,
in
girl.
our community, right?
Mhm.
Like there, and again, you talk about this when we did our real relationships event, and the statistics of
Come
and
on.
the correlation between having a strong two-person household and the success of those kids, where they end up, who they become, there's a
Yes.
direct correlation there. You can't fight statistics. You can't, those don't lie. Numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't
Uh,
lie.
so and I'm not for staying in a toxic marriage. Like I want to say that too. Like I don't, there's certain things that may be deal breakers
Yeah.
that may say you shouldn't be here anymore.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, as long as there's still hope, as long as you guys can still communicate, as long as you still love each other, that's the
Mhm.
big thing. You have to still love each other. You you can make a lot of things work by just fighting for it and working for it.
Yeah.
So, and in our community, I think we just gotta stop throwing in the towel so much. We
Yeah.
gotta we gotta fight for it, fight for our households, fight for our marriages, our strong marriages, and showcase that we have that within the community.
Yeah, for sure. Girl, you nailed it. Data is data. History is history. And our future is dependent upon us recognizing that numbers don't lie. And if we want to see better for our community, then we need to be better as a community. And
Yep.
so, yeah, don't just get married willy nilly, because she looked good in them jeans or because he got a nice bank account. No, make sure you're doing it for all the right reasons because marriage is bigger than you and your spouse.
Yep.
This is about your family. This is about your children. You have influence all around you. There are people that are rooting for you to make it. And if you don't, it may skew their perspective of marriage and of relationships. It may squander their hope. So it's so important that we take marriage seriously. And I will say this too, as well, is that there is purpose in our marriages. We often think of our individual purpose, and that is a thing, but marital purpose is a thing too. And we don't give enough pause to that.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I want to encourage you, if you have not thought about your own marital purpose, you and your spouse make it a date night and y'all sit down and talk about what you think that is. Why do you think God brought you together? And how do you think he wants to use your marriage for his glory, for the kingdom of God, but also for culture and community?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And marriage is a God thing. Like
Yeah.
God created Adam and Eve for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Like God wanted marriages. God wants community. God wants family.
Mhm.
So being married is a God thing as well.
Yes, yes. What God put together, let no man put asunder.
Hair part. Amen to
Amen.
that.
Amen. Well, Amber, I just want to thank you so much for being on the podcast. I just feel like, and I know the viewers are like, you've been saying this quite a bit, but it's certain wives that there's this synergy there that the conversation goes somewhere, and I felt like it left me wanting more. So I'm saying that to say, I hope we can do this again because I feel,
Absolutely.
yeah, for sure. I feel like we got more to talk about.
Anything Michelle wants, Michelle will get out of Amber Staples. So
Yeah,
whatever. I will
Let's
always
do
show up for you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for just being a voice for our community. I know how strong your in raised marriage is. I know how much it means to you. And I think that's something that should be admired and something that all of us could take notes on. So
All right.
thank you.
Well, thank you, my love. I appreciate all that. And hey, guys, I'm not sure if this will air before our next event, but just know around Sweetest Day is our next collaboration together. AIM, Activating Intentional Marriages, and Stapled Events. We will be
Amen.
bringing another panel discussion around sex and intimacy, um,
Ooh.
highlighting the guys this October. So if you are in the Chicago land, please make sure you get your tickets because you don't want to miss this fiery conversation. If you're not, you don't want to miss it. You might want to catch a flight, a train, a bus, drive, do something. But I
You
trust
need
when
to
I say this is going
get
to be one of the decade. So,
yes.
thank you guys for watching, listening to another episode of Wife for Life. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it. Please follow, subscribe, do all the things to make sure that we as wives are doing things to support one another. This is another FUBU production for us, by us. So let's do this together. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, happy loving.
Woo.